Hello, guys. Uh, really crazy times right now with crazy people still supporting Trump after all the bullshit this man has done. It was just really tough to just even talk about it and bring it up, but I should definitely bring it up real quick before I start anything. People need to just grow up. People really just need to stop and actually pay attention. Realize that we are and one of the biggest pickles in the world. And instead of uniting together, we're just attacking each other one by one by one. And that is the fucking problem with this country. Nobody is civil. Everybody just wants to have it their way. Nobody wants to team up. Nobody wants to do everything by the terms. And I just want to warn people and let people know that come on, people are dying, people are getting hurt, and you people, the obviously not the people watching, but someone should hear and know that this country is gonna go down the shitter if you don't fucking change that attitude. Just fucking stop with all the nonsense. Now, on to what I was gonna talk about, and that is the rebooking of Shinsuke Nakamura from the main roster, on his debut on freaking SmackDown till now. And what would I do different from Shinsuke Nakamura's debut? Well, first of all, the first thing you have to know before you watch anything, watch my rebooking of WrestleMania 33 because a lot of that will be connected to where we start. So if you don't want to watch it, you should know that the champions on SmackDown are WWE Champion AJ Styles, US Champion Kevin Owens, SmackDown Women's Champion Naomi, and Tag Team Champions the Usos. Okay? And you're all caught up for the most part. That's all you really need to know. But we'll start off with Dolph Ziggler just break. He's saying, "Stop the show. This show needs to stop right now. I have something to say." Apparently, this year at WrestleMania, they had nothing for me. I wasn't even in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I wasn't in the main card. I was nowhere to be found. They just said, "Go home." And I said, "Screw that. I'm coming here right now. I'm here to challenge anybody who is willing to step in with an excellent wrestler, one of the best wrestlers." And that's when you hear a violinist play a song, and then eventually people are saying, "Oh shit, he's gonna fight Shinsuke Nakamura," which they are correct. Shinsuke says, "You know what? You're not even worth it. Who the hell are you?" And Shinsuke grabs the mic and says, "Shinsuke Nakamura." And then he kicks him, and then it looks like he's gonna hit the Kinshasa, but then Dolph Ziggler escapes, and then he grabs the mic, and Shinsuke Nakamura says, "Remember me, Dolph," and he throws the mic, and then he celebrates. People are singing his theme song, and there's that. Up to this point, heading into Backlash, Shinsuke Nakamura does not show up for any televised program. He does not come out to at all because part of the mystique of Shinsuke Nakamura is that entrance, and if you see the entrance way too much, way too consistent, then it gets tiresome. So the less we see of Nakamura for now, the better. As far as what we do with him, we'll show video packages of like his arrival to the WWE, his time in NXT, and his eventual goals in the main roster. He plans to be a main stage in the WWE because not a lot. While there is some great Japanese wrestlers, um, there's not never been a mainstream wrestler, and I'm planning to change that for the WWE. I want to make sure that people from my country can see me and say, yes, I am. Yes, I can make it because of who like my ethnicity, and it's a powerful message, honestly, showing that Nakamura wants to inspire kids from Japan who want to be into wrestling and want to be seen in the big leagues. That is a great message, and throughout the weeks as well, Dolph Ziggler is still cutting promos, and then Sami Zayn comes out saying like, "Listen, Dolph, um, I thought I was ready for Shinsuke Nakamura when he first debuted. I was his first opponent in the WWE back in NXT, and all I gotta say is that this guy is I've never wrestled anyone like this." And trust me, Dolph, I've wrestled you before, and all I can say is that you yourself are not ready. And then they make a match set up. To they'll go home to SmackDown. I mean, to go home to Backlash. It's gonna be Dolph Ziggler and Sami Zayn. Dolph Ziggler wins, and then he grabs the mic and says, "Shinsuke Nakamura, I'm ready." And he throws the mic. And then at Backlash, it's Shinsuke Nakamura versus Dolph Ziggler. It's a more exciting match because it's like, oh shit, this is the first time we see Nakamura in a ring since the the SmackDown after Mania. So, but this time he's gonna wrestle, so it's gonna be amazing. And he finally hits the King Shasa. He only hits one King Shasa to Dolph Ziggler. He doesn't hit like 5 of them, showing that the King Shasa is a legit move. And Shinsuke Nakamura wins his debut match. It's gonna be a great moment. Next thing, one thing you should know: at Money in a Bank, the main event will be AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, title for title, WWE and United States Championship. Basically, the story could be that on Raw, Kevin Owens was the world champion, and it was taken from him thanks to Chris Jericho. But he wants to be a champion, the top champion in the W. And on SmackDown, AJ Styles is like, fine, but you also got to put that belt on the line. He's like, deal. And there's your match. And AJ Styles wins. He's the WWE and United States champion, but he'll lose it immediately. The next SmackDown is going to be a fatal 4-way between Styles, Zayn, Owens, and Corbin. Sami Zayn pins AJ Styles. This is important later. But then in 2 weeks, Sami Zayn loses the belt again to Kevin Owens, his fair one-on-one rematch. Kevin Owens is once again your United States champion. And part of the reason why Styles even lost at his U.S. belt is because Rusev returned and attacked AJ Styles, sending a message for his next opponent. So at Money in the Bank, it's going to be Styles and Rusev for the WWE Championship. And then the Money in the Bank ladder match will consist of Shinsuke Nakamura, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, Luke Harper, and Eric Rowan. Part of the reason why I put those two in there is because these guys were kind of directionless, and it will be fun to have them in a ladder match, in a Money in a Bank ladder match. Even though they fought the previous pay-per-view on Backlash, they realized that they like teaming up with each other, so they clean house, and then eventually they turn on them. All 4 opponents team up to attack Harper and Rowan, and it looks like Shinsuke Nakamura is going to win the Money in a Bank ladder match until Kevin Owens sneaks in from behind, throws him off the ladder. Kevin Owens is now your Mr. Money in a Bank, and he's your U.S. champion. So imagine that. Kevin Owens in a suit with his title and the briefcase. That's just super cocky for Owens. Next up, the SmackDown after the SmackDown after Money in the Bank. I don't know why I spaced out. We set up AJ Styles versus Sami Zayn because Sami Zayn pinned AJ Styles, so he deserves a victory, or he deserves a chance at the WWE Championship. As far as Nakamura goes, he is talking about, they're asking him why isn't he facing for the WWE Championship. It seems like this is the match that everybody wants to see, AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura can't really speak, so then that's when a guy comes in, he takes the mic, and he's like, hey, I'm a personal friend of Shinsuke Nakamura. I will be answering the questions for him. I'll be his translator. But the reason why Nakamura isn't facing AJ Styles because he realizes that this is going to be a different take than in Japan. Shinsuke Nakamura will face AJ Styles when it's time, and to make sure it's time, he has to beat the best of the best. And on July 4th, he will be ready for his next opponent. And that opponent will be John Cena. So on the 4th of July special, that's when John Cena comes out and says that he's going to be now a free agent and he's going to take on every opponent possible. So whoever it is, you want some, come get some. Nakamura comes out. They just do a stare down. And at Battleground, we do Shinsuke Nakamura versus John Cena, with Shinsuke Nakamura winning. Hopefully, he doesn't injure him, but Nakamura beats Cena. Cena stands up, shakes Nakamura's hand, and then walks out. And next up, we do either a battle royal or a tournament or a beat the clock challenge. But basically, whoever wins this will become the number one contender for the U.S. belt. Nakamura is the winner. So at Summerslam, we do Kevin Owens versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Somewhere when the night Nakamura becomes the number one contender, AJ Styles is in the main event in a tag team match or something, and Kevin Owens is about to cash in, but Nakamura screws him over. So Kevin Owens lost his briefcase and he won't get it back. And Owens is furious, and the translator says, like, part of the reason why Nakamura did what he did is because he wants you at your best. He doesn't want you thinking about the WWE Championship. He wants the Kevin Owens that demolished Sami Zayn on his debut. He wants the Kevin Owens from NXT. He wants the one who picked the fight with John Cena. He wants that Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens is like, fine, if that's who Nakamura wants, then that's what he'll get. Send him a message. And Kevin Owens demolishes the translator, so Nakamura now is on his own. And now it's Kevin Owens versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States Championship at SummerSlam. And Nakamura wins. Nakamura is now your new United States champion. Around this time, he just carries that belt and takes on some of the mid-card talents. He doesn't do open challenges because that shit is overrated as fuck. And I don't think Nakamura really needs that gimmick, the open challenge one. So he'll just he'll have people win number one contender matches and fight them, such as like Ty Dillinger and Baron Corbin. But at Hell in a Cell, he'll face Rusev for the United States Championship. What does AJ Styles do around this time? So if you guys saw my rebooking of WrestleMania 33, something else you should know is that we did the Inferno match between Wyatt and Orton. I said that Orton was gonna win. Instead, I decided to change it to Bray Wyatt winning, turning. Oh yeah. Anyways, never mind. I said so. Orton turns evil, super evil, after burning Bray Wyatt in the Inferno match. That he's just out of control. So at SummerSlam, it's Styles and Orton. AJ Styles sneaks in rolls up Randy Orton, but then they have a rematch at Hell in a Cell inside the cell. So Styles and Orton inside Hell in a Cell match. That'll be pretty good. So Styles is looking strong, Nakamura is looking strong, and we're all building to the obvious. Nakamura and Styles at WrestleMania 34. At Survivor Series, he faces the Intercontinental Champion, Kurt Angle. If you saw my rebooking of Kurt Angle, you should know that Kurt Angle is the Intercontinental Champion. But if not, then fine, we'll do the Miz. But point is, Nakamura wins whoever the IC champion is. And then he'll defend the belt against one of the new... around this time, Randy Orton talks about how he's tired of all these new people who are not selling, who are not a draw, being at the top. He hates it. He is mad at it, and that's when Nakamura comes out. And then we do at Clash of Champions, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Randy Orton, and Randy Orton beats Nakamura clean. Or, well, he cheats, obviously, but he doesn't, like, hit him with a chair or anything. He just beats him because Randy Orton cheats. He doesn't really want the belt. He just wants to hold it because no one is worthy of holding that belt, so that's why he has it. And Nakamura realizes that, wow, this is like the first time he loses um, in the WWE. So he said that he's going to prevent that from ever happening. And he is going to take on anybody that gets in his way. So we're going to do it. We're going to do the Royal Rumble. Nakamura wins. And then he challenges AJ Styles. Up to this point, we'll keep the build up a little bit different, where we have Styles and Nakamura being friends. But later, Styles starts getting super jealous, saying that um, the last match before they both arrived at WWE, he lost to Nakamura. So we'll bring up that New Japan match because we could do a lot of build from there. And he wants Nakamura at his best. And even though he had one loss against Randy Orton, he knows that Nakamura that we all love is going to be in there. So sure enough, WrestleMania 34, Styles and Nakamura hopefully is a whole lot fucking better than the original match, but with a better story and a better build. I think people will be more excited for it. And the winner, Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura becomes the WWE champion. It is great. Nakamura gets his big moment, and then we do the rematch at Backlash, Nakamura versus Styles. This time, Styles is slightly more mad about it, but he says, you know what, Nakamura is the only person I haven't beat, and that's going to change at Backlash. And this is going to be the main event, by the way. Nakamura and Styles. Nakamura wins, and then it ends with AJ Styles like super upset. Nakamura picks him up, and then they bow to one another, and that's it. Because the shaking hands cliche is done over and over, so if they bow, it's going to be a little bit different. And that will be the Nakamura Styles trilogy. We never see these guys ever fight again. We had a match at Wrestle Kingdom, at WrestleMania, and now Backlash. I know the last one is not as big of a name, but what can you do? Styles moves on to the U.S. picture with Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe versus Styles for the U.S. belt. Give that belt more momentum at Money in a Bank. Well, at Money in a Bank, he'll fight Samoa Joe just to tell that story of how Samoa Joe is the only one that could beat. Is the only man that could beat him. And Samoa Joe fails twice, one at Money in a Bank and one at Extreme Rules. Samoa Joe realizes that he can be a champion, so he will beat the shit out of Jeff Hardy on a SmackDown, winning the United States Championship. And then we do Samoa Joe and AJ Styles at Summerslam for the U.S. belt. Nakamura faces Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam. So, no, we don't do Miz and Bryan immediately. We'll save that for later. But Shinsuke Nakamura beats Daniel Bryan. Or, psych. Never mind. Daniel Bryan beats Shinsuke Nakamura. The one match Shinsuke Nakamura always wanted to have, but he was so excited about the match that he didn't realize like what kind of opponent Daniel Bryan was, and Daniel Bryan finally wins the big one. He's WWE champion once again. The next night, we expected a rematch at Hell in a Cell. Instead, we do a six-pack challenge where the winner will face Daniel Bryan at Hell in a Cell. The winner by pinning Shinsuke Nakamura, The Miz, and then we do Miz and Bryan going forward. As far as Nakamura goes, he starts moving into the U.S. title picture. So at SmackDown 1000, it's gonna be a fatal four-way for the United States champion: Styles, Joe, Nakamura, and can't think of a fourth person. Trying to think. I want to add a fourth person just so it's a slightly different than normal. Sure, I can't think of anywhere, but the point is at SmackDown 1000, Nakamura wins the US belt back again. And then at Survivor Series, it's going to be him versus Seth Rollins, but because Seth Rollins is getting brutalized by Dean Ambrose on Raw. He's going to try to do the best he can to win, but Nakamura beats Seth Rollins in an epic dream match, which hopefully won't be that bad. I mean, the original match was good. It's just that if you could tell the right story, then I think you have a guarantee match. And this will demonstrate that Nakamura is still going to be a fighting champion, and no matter what, he'll stand tall. Because honestly, Nakamura could help out that United States Championship. Then he starts feuding with The Miz, saying how The Miz is talking to Nakamura, saying that he is a fluke champion. How he talks about how they have a similar story of how they were at the top immediately. Their first Mania, they were on the WWE Championship picture. Well, Miz's second WrestleMania was for the WWE Championship. He's like, the difference is I'm still going to be relevant 5-10 years from now. Nakamura, the second you get sick and tired of how the WWE mistreats the indie guys, you're just going to leave back to New Japan. So might as well just give me that belt. Nakamura just laughs and beats the shit out of The Miz. They feud for a little bit. And then around this time, lots of other feuds are going on, like so Rey Mysterio and Andrade are feuding. Mustafa Ali got injured, so he lost his chance of becoming WWE champion. Randy Orton is kind of directionless, and Samoa Joe is also directionless. So we're gonna do a multi-man ladder match for the United States Championship. It's gonna be Shinsuke Nakamura, Randy Orton, The Miz, Rey Mysterio, Samoa Joe, Mustafa Ali, Andrade, and just for shits and giggles, R-Truth. I believe I added Samoa Joe. Let me count those names again. Let's see. Nakamura, Miz, Orton, Joe, Mysterio, Ali, Andrade, and Truth. Yep, all 8 of those guys. It's 8 people. I just realized that. But so yeah. And then the winner of that match will be Rey Mysterio, because it will be a fun pop to have Rey Mysterio as the U.S. champion once again. Then he'll feud with Joe briefly, where Joe will win the belt from off of Rey Mysterio because he's pretty injury prone, and then he'll lose it to Ricochet. You know the rest. As far as what Nakamura does now, because he was in a ladder match, is a pretty dangerous match. He might suffer a couple of injuries and he won't wrestle the same, so we'll give him a break. He will not come back until after Summerslam. Something you should know, Sami Zayn has just won the Intercontinental Championship from Finn Balor. He defends it against Mustafa Ali at SummerSlam because that would be a fun match to do. And then Sami Zayn plans on becoming the longest running United States Intercontinental Champion of all time, bringing back the Honkometer that Santino originally brought, but Shinsuke Nakamura comes back and plans to crush those dreams of Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn already knows what kind of opponent Nakamura is, so he's going to have to bring the best A game possible. So at Clash of Champions, it's Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura, with Shinsuke Nakamura becoming the Intercontinental Champion. And he basically just becomes a workhorse up to this point. He just has classic after classic with like guys like Ricochet, Ali, Gable, Rusev, anybody who's around. He's just having workhorse match after workhorse match. And around this time, Daniel Bryan fails to become the Universal Champion. And Nakamura says that the only person he truly ever wanted to beat is Daniel Bryan. So at WrestleMania 36, we're going to do Shinsuke Nakamura versus Daniel Bryan for the Intercontinental Championship. And the winner is up to you. You could either have Shinsuke Nakamura beat Daniel Bryan, finally beating the one guy he's always wanted to beat, and just stay as a strong champion, or have Daniel Bryan win, be a workhorse champion. If you've seen all of my previous rebookings, Daniel Bryan never becomes the Intercontinental Champion. So So if you know that, you should know that Daniel Bryan could finally become a Grand Slam champion in this rebooking, and Nakamura can kind of go like as this guy trying to pick himself back up. But at the end of the day, this will all end with Nakamura going to fight Roman Reigns for the Universal Champion at WrestleMania 37, which is what I believe they're doing right now. So it kind of all meshes up well back. So what do you guys think of this rebooking of Shinsuke Nakamura? Do you think he deserved to be WWE champion back at WrestleMania 34? What do you think he would be a big draw? What do you guys think? Something I'm missing? Something I should have added? Let me know. It's me, the ALE Double X Prince. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And until then, I'm out.